Hello and welcome to On the Right Track Career Stories with Jane Christophe, a video series and podcast about real people, their real careers, and real lives. Today I'm interviewing Dr. Dwight Chapin. He's a chiropractor, business owner, and team member for the Toronto Argonauts Health Group. He's also a health advisor and contributor at the Globe and Mail newspaper. Dwight, feel free to correct me if I made any errors, but why don't you get started and tell us about you?
Okay, well, hey Jane, nice to spend this time with you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Always willing to help young people sort of find their way and share my story as we can kind of learn from successes and failures together, right? So I'm a chiropractor. I practice in Mississauga, Ontario. And I've been in practice for a little over 20 years now, which is hard to believe. But I'm also a business owner, so I co-own a large multidisciplinary clinic. The team is made up of chiropractors, physiotherapists, naturopathic doctors, dietitians, massage therapists, fitness trainers, and then a variety of other health practitioners that come on our team as consultants. And the practice has three main divisions. So we have our family practice. The roots in our community go back to the late 70s. The clinic the name is High Point Wellness Center. So High Point was established in 1977 by one of my mentors, Dr. Bruce Fligg. And so the community roots are deep. And in that clinic, we handle all sorts of different musculoskeletal injuries, workplace injuries, sports injuries, armchair athlete injuries, everything that you would see from head to toe in a musculoskeletal setting. And then we have a corporate wellness division where we operate on-site teams. So we'll put a team of clinicians on site in a business or corporation and provide on-site care and a host of customized corporate wellness content. So we provide that service for the Globe and Mail, for General Mills Canada, for large corporate campus that Belma Media has in Mississauga, Intuit, Moneris, a whole host of other businesses of different sizes. And then the third division of the practice is a sports performance division, where we care for and manage the health and performance of individual athletes and in some teams, both amateur and pro. So one of those teams is the Toronto professional football team, the Toronto Argonauts, and I'm on the medical staff as the team chiropractor.
Very interesting. Okay, so can you tell us about the path to get where you are?
Yeah, so it's kind of been an interesting journey. And I never had any idea of where that journey would take me, or I had no idea that I would get to where I am now if I look back on my career. I gave the convocation address at Roy Thompson Hall this past spring for the graduating class of CMCC, and was sort of reflecting on my journey and talking to students just about sort of how I got to where I am, and so there's no formula really. I would say that early on in my career, I struggled out of the gates. I was very focused on what I could bring to the world and the skills that I had and a desire to help other people and make a difference and all of these great things. But I hadn't learned the importance of how to listen and how to be patient-centered. And as I learned those lessons and sort of found my way, continued to work on my clinical skills, my career really took off. And early on in my career, I was able to help an individual who was suffering from acute mechanical low back pain. And that happened to be an influential person that led to another introduction. Started working with that person, which led to a meeting with the Globe and Mail. And before I knew it, I was their on-site provider. And when you become the on-site provider for the Globe and Mail, you get noticed. So that led to a lot of opportunities for me. That was one of the first breaks I had in my career. And so the corporate wellness division of our practice started to grow. I started to develop a reputation as being a clinician that was skilled at the prevention and treatment of common repetitive strain injuries. And in the early 2000s, RSI, or repetitive strain injuries, were one of the leading causes of workplace disability, and corporate wellness was still relatively a new idea and a new term. And so very early on, we were on that scene, and now corporate wellness initiatives are really a strategic best practice for businesses. And so our program has evolved. We have a musculoskeletal component to that content, where we're providing care to help people with ergonomic issues and postural issues, and but then also we have a whole host of content that deals with overall health and well-being. So you get everything from mental health component to healthy eating, to physical fitness, to stress resiliency. So
Okay,
yeah.
tell us a little bit about what was happening in high school. What did you want to do when you were a teenager? What did you see in your future?
So I loved high school. It was a great time for me. Good friends. You know, back when I was in high school, we had grade 13. So, you know, I have very fond memories of those years. I was strong in the math and science focus, and so that's just sort of naturally where I was thinking I might have a career. I was drawn to helping people. I had an interest in physical science, and so coming out of high school, that was healthcare was a definite interest for me. So yeah, I would say that I didn't have a lot of direction. I didn't see myself doing what I'm doing now back then, although I did have a draw towards healthcare.
Okay. Now, were you doing any activities outside of school that made you aware of healthcare, career directions for that, like summer jobs or internships,
Yeah,
extracurricular?
so not in high school. So I was president of a student council. I was very involved in the student activity life, and I enjoyed opportunities to get involved in leadership and get involved in the community. And so I always had a passion for that. You know, my father was in healthcare at that time on the finance side, so I was exposed during my high school years to sort of that side of healthcare, the business side of healthcare, which I found interesting.
Yep.
But at that point, I still I wasn't focused on my career like I find a lot of young people feel the pressure to in their high school years now. So I have three boys. They're 19, 17, and 14. And so we have teenagers in our house all the time, right? The boys and their friends. And I feel like there's tremendous pressure for these young people to define their career choice at a really young age.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember having that drilled down focus at that age. So, and like in our house, the messaging to our boys is always like, follow your passions. And from there, you'll just naturally fall into a line of study or an area of interest that perhaps you're not even thinking of now. So like I graduated from high school, and I remember thinking my next choice was arts, science, commerce, or engineering. Like it was that simple. And of course it wasn't. There were other choices, but that was my memory of the choice coming out of high school, was I was going to choose one of those four directions.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm strong in math and science, I'm going to go that way. I have an interest in healthcare, I have an interest in helping people, that makes sense, I'll go that way. So I went to Queens, did an honors degree in biology, and from there sort of fell into my profession.
And what do you mean when you say fell into?
Well, I guess I didn't go into it thinking that's what I was going to do. You know, I believe I am where I am because it's where I'm supposed to be. I feel very fortunate to have the career that I do, and I'm really passionate about the work that I do. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's a coincidence or an accident that I am doing what it is that I'm doing. I think that naturally, as I just kept my options open, I started to narrow a focus as I went through my undergraduate degree.
Mhm.
And so there are a lot of health professionals, chiropractors in particular, that either had an experience as a patient or have a family member that was a chiropractor. So they had been exposed to the profession and the work that we do at an earlier age. And so they were much more focused on that's what I want to be when I grow up. And that wasn't my experience. So
Mhm.
my experience came from a passion of understanding the functional anatomy and the biomechanics of the human body, and how to improve physical performance. So I was naturally interested in studying anatomy and biomechanics. And so through Queens, as those interests became more apparent to me, I just naturally sort of fell into the opportunity to shadow a few chiropractors in Kingston, and that led to other introductions. One of them was Dr. Bruce Flagg, who became a very important mentor of mine, and I ended up buying his practice.
Okay, so the business piece, you're a business owner,
Mhm.
co-owner, you said. Where did you learn how to be a business person if you were in health and science through your academic journey?
Yeah, so that's just baptism by fire, really. Um, One of the struggles I had when I graduated was this, as I spoke to, this passion that I had to be a clinician and help people. And you graduate, and all the way through up until that point, I had the structure of an academic program sort of leading me and measuring me and setting the next benchmark, and okay, check that box, move on. Okay. And so when I graduated and I had the title doctor and was licensed to diagnose and was had opened my practice, but I had no reputation, I had no brand. I hadn't developed the business skills because I hadn't had that opportunity yet. So you make some mistakes along the way, and learn as you go. I was fortunate enough to come from a family of entrepreneurs, so I had a great network of people to rely on, and that was invaluable. And even to this day, I still have a strong network of entrepreneurs that are outside of my profession that I rely on
Mhm.
as a sounding board, and look to them at times of different difficulties or challenges in business that's been a big part of my success. So I think too that, and maybe this is just coming from the entrepreneurial background, like being in business didn't scare me. I found it really exciting. I liked the opportunity that comes with being a business owner,
Mhm.
and developing your business, but also the people that are working with your business, and developing your brand and having an impact on your community. Those are all things that were and are very important to me.
Okay, Dwight, tell us about a typical day in your life as a professional and personal as well.
Okay. Well, so I mentioned the different divisions of the practice,
Mhm.
and so in my week, I play in all three of those divisions. So I have my private practice where I see patients of all ages, and I have hours in my main clinic that's in Mississauga, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Part of the day, Monday, is spent working with my management team and different pockets of our clinical team in different corporate settings. Um, Tuesday, I split my day. In the morning with patients, in the afternoon I'm with the Argonauts during the season. And outside of the season, there are still a few athletes that are in the city that I will see in their off-season training, and/or we're doing other business meetings in support of the practice. Wednesday is the day that I'm down at the Globe and Mail, where I have an office and I treat their employees with repetitive strain injuries and do all their ergonomic consulting. Thursday, back in the main office. And Fridays are a day where I'm writing cases, doing research, developing content, doing meetings like this. So I love the freedom and the diversity that
Yes,
comes with all of that.
a lot of variety.
Yeah, I just it's super exciting, and I need that. I don't think I could be sort of in one clinic, in one setting, all week.
Okay.
So that's
And
kind of on the business side. Yeah. And then on the personal side, 3 active boys, all in sports. My youngest son plays AAA baseball, and I've been the head coach for his team for the last couple of seasons. So just if I'm not busy with the boys and or my wife supporting the boys in their activities, I'm immersed in my practice.
sounds very fulfilling. Now,
Yeah.
tell me something that surprised you about your career path. What were you not expecting from being a chiropractor or a part of any of your other roles?
I think really it's the impact. I mean, so you take someone with an injury and you help them through that injury, and you help them achieve a level of physical performance that they either didn't feel was possible or doubted, or and that experience with a patient is really rewarding and very powerful and exciting. And but when you do that with someone over 20 years, that's a whole other level that I hadn't really fully understood, just the impact. I had a patient in on Monday, and he was probably like one of my first 10 patients, and he's been with me all of this time, and so I've seen him get older as I've gotten older, and so we've gotten older together, and I've seen him through the challenges and successes of his life, and through his marriage and the birth of his 3 kids and the growth and development of his business, and so all the ups and downs of his life and the way that plays out in his physical health has been a privilege to be a part of. And so I think that caught me a little off guard. Now that my practice is more mature, and I'm seeing different generations now in my practice, in my patient base, that's really rewarding and very fulfilling.
Sounds like it. Okay, so your 3 teenage boys, you and your wife tell them to follow their passions. You're trying to remove some of the stress they feel, which I'm telling you, all of my students feel stress and overwhelm from not knowing the direction they should take.
Mm-hmm.
So following their passions, is there anything else you can think of that you would say to young people about what to do where they're at right now to figure things out?
In my mind, a big part of it is patience. Like, it's okay not to know. I find that the pressure comes from I have to define myself, I have to define my next step or the path I'm on, and so our messaging is it's okay not to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. Like, take that time, be patient, let that develop. And I found that really challenging when I was going through school, and when I graduated. I mean, I was not patient. I wanted it all, and I wanted it now, and was resentful when that didn't happen. And as I learned to release all of that, that's when I started to really find success in my career. So I'm not suggesting that that's an easy message to receive or to put into practice, but I think for young people, it's important for them to hear it,
Yeah.
because I'm not sure they're getting a lot of reinforcement in today's world on don't rush the process, take some time, have some fun. Like, a big part of this is the social experience. And so
Great message.
yeah, I think that's how I would respond to that.
Okay. And from your perspective, young people emerging into the real world, launching,
Yeah.
what skills are most important today?
Yeah, certainly communication skills. They're imperative. In my profession, when I'm counseling young chiropractic students or other students that have come to me that are interested in healthcare, it's like I emphasize the importance of communication. I emphasize the importance of empathy. I emphasize the importance of just hard work, like putting the work in.
Mm-hmm.
Be the best version of yourself every day, and if you focus on that and serving other people, you're going to find success. So I think that's really sort of as simple as I can kind of drill that down, right? It's that focus on your ability to communicate and be authentic.
Yeah. Okay. So wonderful stories and what great tips. My last question for you today. If you weren't doing what you're doing, what would you like to be doing instead?
Oh, wow, great question. As I started working for the Globe, it was really exciting to be behind the scenes of the headlines and of the paper, and sort of have a sense of what the big story was. And when I've been there, working with the editorial team and a big stories in play, it's super exciting. And after about 10 years of being behind the scenes treating their employees, I was asked to start to contribute, and that's when I started to do some writing as a health advisor. And now all of a sudden I started to see my name in the paper or online as a health expert, and that was really exciting. So I think that if I wasn't as busy treating, that my next step, and maybe that's that next chapter for me, would be to do more research and more writing, and bring a passion and a light to just the important steps that people can take to have a better sense of how their daily routine impacts their health and performance.
Hmm.
And so if we understand that, we can understand how the body functions, we can have a better impact on quality of life and risk of degenerative disease and so forth. So
Thank you very much, Dwight. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights, your stories, and your tips, and see you next time.
thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you liked the video, give us a like, and even better, subscribe. For more information, check out the links below. You'll get lots of scoop about other social media platforms, more information about our interview guests, and the services available from Right Track Education. Have a great day and best wishes to everyone.